Um, yeah, part two, I guess. That was very weird. The stream just shut off for some reason, okay? So I'm just gonna keep going from where I left off. This leader, he came into the office, he dressed, in a shirt and tie, like very, very stylish looking. And one right away, I was looking like he didn't say too much. He kind of just studied everybody. And after a while, he went around to like small talk a little bit about with everybody, and I talked with him also, like small talk a little bit. But then I kind of put him to the wall, and I asked him, like, so what do you do? What are you working with? And he just kind of like frowned upon me. He almost coughed. He almost he didn't expect that from me. So he just business development, and I'm like, business, okay, business development regards to what? And he just, business development. It was like the impression I got from this leader was that he was just sitting on his ass all day long because he couldn't even develop what he was saying about what he actually worked with regards to business development. And he was a leader dressed in a shirt and tie. So I'm telling you, there are those that are not really like, okay, you are working on the floor, so I am not really supposed to talk with you. And then they turn your back. One other experience. This is my colleague. This is not my personal experience, but it's my colleague. And it's hilarious. It really is. So this guy, my colleague, this is also like not too long time ago, but he was supposed to go out from the office, and he kind of like he walked into one manager, like a little bit like on the arm. He just barely like touched him on the arm, and he told me later on that this supervisor, this manager, kind of just looked at him like this over the shoulder with that attitude. Can you imagine that? That is so bad. Like he got the sense that the manager was looking at him with the reaction like, why? How come that you could even touch me? How come that you could even a little bit walk into me like that? There are some really shallow, stupid leaders out there that are not supposed to be in that position. And of course, we have some crazy INFPs that have been in a leadership dictatorship. Not gonna name any names, but it's like, I know one particular one is that has been either INFJ or INFP. I can't tell, to be honest. But we do know that both types are very special, whether they are INFP or INFJ. So what else do I have to say about leader? I have a lot of interesting experience in regards to leadership. I can tell you one other thing, actually. Why not? Let's do that. I was living in Australia before. This is about, it's 10 years ago now. This year it will be 10 years ago. I mean, working and living, so it's like a mix. And there was one particular employer I had working in a farm, picking fruit, picking pawpaw. If you know pawpaw, it's a papaya, a delicious fruit. Very weird looking trees, actually. They are, imagine a palm tree, but they don't have the palm leaves. It's more like a normal branch with like quite big leaves, but it's not anywhere near palm leaves. So I was working down in Australia, on this farm, and this supervisor, he was he seemed to be a good leader and good friendly when he picked me and my friend up from the train, bus station, whatever it was, when we arrived into this small town. Weird, creepy town, but it was like super hot during the day, and then at night I just froze so bad. I've never been that cold. Maybe until here this winter I've been so cold here, especially before I moved into here. So yeah, super, like, seemed nice, but he was kind of like very, imagine this outback Australian just sitting by the wheel and driving and listening to us, and sometimes asking us a question, just looking over at us every now and then. The bumping dirt road, and the sun is just blasting through the window, and I'm just sweating. I remember I just sweat so much in his pickup. And me and my friend, we were excited, like, yay, we got our first farm job. We are like, let's do this, so happy. And the nightmare, I'm telling you, is about to begin. To make that long story short, because we were at this farm for quite a while, he ended up like coming several times. I remember one time, because he was that kind of supervisor that had, because the farm is big, but he had his pickup and he's driving around, he's doing his chores, and he's going spying on you. And he had his eyes on your neck. I'm telling you that. He was so creepy. And there's one time, like every morning actually, tell that first. He just there on, like, if you're not out on time, he just like watching that, and he coming and checking on you, check the time, like you have to be on the second. And I mean, there's so many stories about this guy. I need just to try to make them in a chronological order, if I can. But the main event is that there was one older guy. That's not the main event, but there was one older guy that was working with us. I feel sad for him. I wonder what he's doing now today, this guy. I remember his name was Andrew Cooper. And he was born on the Christmas Island. Can you imagine being born on the Christmas Island? And he was bragging so much about, I had this good job in Cairns, because it was not far away from, it was just, we were working inland from Cairns, maybe 2 hours inland. And this guy, maybe he was at the time late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, difficult to say. And he was just bragging about how good of a carpenter or engineer or something he was in downtown or in town of Cairns, and doing like very good money, like 40 Australian bucks per hour or whatever. And he just bragged about that, but now he was there. So I was always thinking like, okay, Andrew, why are you just like talking about this? Like, why are you not doing that? I think I never asked him, but he was really kind. Like, he cared for us. He took us to do grocery shopping with his car, because we didn't have a car at that time. We did actually. The crazy supervisor, he lent us a car actually. So that's kind of nice. But of course, we need to be able to do grocery shopping to be able to work on a farm. Freaking, what was it? 7. We started 7 till maybe 5. And I'm telling you, that was in June. In June 2011. And that weather was insane. You were just out there on the farm, and that you see those eagles, they are just doing circles because of the heat upwards. I have a lot of stories to tell about this particular place, but I'm going to keep the leadership there. This leader, he was so, like, once we started to working, he had such an aggressive attitude to you. Like you didn't mean a shit. He had one guy that he, for some reason, gave $1 more per hour. And we all like, why? That's so weird. But what is the specific incident? I mean, there are many specific incidents. We were afraid. Yeah, I remember one particular incident. To me, I was working hard doing weeding. Oh my God, there are so many things happen there when I think about it. But one particular thing, yeah, I was doing weeding around the baby pawpaw, the papaya tree, a small one. I'm doing like I had a slow, very like used knife cutting that weed, and that weed was growing like it was so strong. I'm telling you, it was growing like a imagine a spider web into the soil. Like imagine my fingers spreading down and just going further and further away from the tree. And you had to pull it. It was so strong, I can't imagine. And they had like timing on you, I think, something like that. Or maybe that was Andrew's idea. You need to finish one tree in this much time. I remember my first day, I was the best of everybody. But I'm telling you, I slept like a damn baby. And I didn't keep up for long. You know, you can do good in the beginning, but then after a while, it just wear you out, you know. And there was one this particular day, I was out there blasting in the sun under those damn tree doing the weeding. And then because I was further away from from other team members, the other guys. So maybe like, I don't know, maybe I was 20 yards away from them. So I was alone working there under the trees, like with all these creepy insects. And I just hear somebody walking up behind me, and I got so scared when I see the big shadow behind me because it turned out to be that supervisor. So scary guy. He was like a psychopath. His eyes was like completely black, and he just said something really quick in Australian, like "Shut up, bitch up." And then I was like, "Huh, sorry." And the other guys come up close to me, and then he said something along the lines of, "You're off. Get off. Piss off. Fuck off." And I was like, you imagine me, like 20 years old, like standing there. Okay, I didn't. And then my friends, just said like, "Yeah, we're going home now. We're finished for the day." And they laughed so hard about me. They laughed so hard about me because what he said. He says, yeah, he literally said something like, "Yeah, piss off, fuck off." That's how much you were worth as a worker for him. It was horrible, I'm telling you. I'm just gonna charge the laptop. So that is, I mean, I have so many things from that particular place, along with a lot of other things as well from that particular trip. But keeping to the topic of leadership and leaders, that guy was like a nightmare for a long time. I remember one last incident. This is not about me, but I was there. We lived in in a shed. So my friend that I was traveling with, we were living with these two guys from Israel, and there was, yeah. Before I'm telling you that, we ended up getting fired because, yeah, he said, he just came up one day, that guy, crazy leader, and he said, "I got no more work for you guys. Sorry mate, I got no more work for you guys." And we were like, "What? Why? You work too slow." And it turned out to be like, I remember, yeah, we were at that farm. They were still working with the baby trees, the baby papaya trees, and he just come up from nowhere and showing like we were, because you had to break each leaf, like 3 of them on the lower level, remember, so they can grow taller, because the papaya trees are very tall, and they need to grow from from very tall, I guess. I'm not like him. I'm not a pawpaw farmer guy. But he just went in there through the trees and just broke them like in a second, like 3 to 5 leaves, because they are like big. I don't know. Maybe they are I don't know, 30 to 50 centimeters. And he just broke those leaves super quick. This is how you gotta do it. We just stood there, me and my friend, like this, looking and tried to do the same. We were walking in there, tried like, oh, can you break it from here, or should you break it from this distance to not hurt the tree, you know? And he was just not giving a fuck. And that same evening after work, he just came to us. I ain't got no more work for you, mate. He didn't say mates, but anyway, then we went into the shed, and he came back maybe the same evening or the day after or something, and just said like he checked everything, you know. He checked and this is where the funny part coming to my friend. My friend had for some reason put before a plate with food into the oven, so the plate crashed and broke or exploded. And he just came in and checked in the oven. He said to my friend, like, you clean the oven. You gotta clean the oven. I don't think my friend ended up doing that. But to end this experience, I thought about for a long time just like sending some bad letter to this horrible man, like, because he was so evil. You could see that in his eyes. He was just, it felt like you were gonna be like murdered or hit every time that you saw him, or every time you had a conversation with him. And I don't know. He was like from, I think he had Italian roots, and his father and mother was still living on a farm next to the shed where I was living actually, and he was living like way farther away from where I was. And it was a cool experience. It was like a significant memory. It was so surreal, like literally really out in like off grid, and just farms lands around. There are not kangaroo, is something else. Is wallabies. They are like kangaroo but a bit smaller. It's another species of kangaroo, I guess. Yeah, so that's something I could actually talk much more about. But I think it was a good thing to bring up some personal examples about leaderships, because there are some really bad leaders. But I mean, I'm gonna see it from his perspective from now. You know, imagine you are a farmer, and of course you have to have cheap labor, because he is probably not making a huge profit. I mean, I guess he do pretty damn well actually. He had a pretty nice house. He had his pickups and nice car, whatever. But at the end of the day, if he is gonna pay too much for, and it was not too bad pay, I have to say, that I got. It was not bad pay. But I think that he sees so much backpackers coming in, you know, that he hired, that is just, maybe they are trash. I don't know. Maybe they are just think it can be a easy money for him. But for him, it's like a chunk of money that he have to give away. But I think actually it's nothing in comparison. No. When I think about it, it's nothing in comparison what he actually made. Owning the land, owning that. He had avocado also, I think. Yeah, that he was just starting up. But his main industry was papaya, pawpaw tree. And oh yeah, so many memories from that particular place. And me and my friend, we were just very new, fresh in there already into Australia. This was just like, it was in June, and we arrived like April, beginning of April. I think we landed in Australia in the beginning of Australia. Yeah, we flew on the 1st of April, 2011, I think. Yeah, and we flew into Melbourne, and then this is April, whole May, pretty much. we stayed in the south, and then we flew up to Cairns and searched for some job that we didn't end up getting, and then we got this one. Yeah, so that was early mid-June, and we had this job for maybe like, I can't even remember for how long we had that job with the crazy supervisor. Maybe it must have been somewhere along the lines of, it's not a long time, I'm telling you. I think it stretched into beginning of July. So we got ourselves some cash to get a car and stuff. But that's another story. Yeah, let's go into the other one, the other reason, the other topic, INFP and loneliness. I wrote within quotes, the grass is greener mentality. And that is so true. You know, I have wrote some notes here that I'm going to need to follow here. And I also have this good article that I found, also from, it's the site, you can check it if you want later, is personalitygrowth.com, INFP loneliness. And there are some headlines here that I really like. And the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think about INFP loneliness is a bit the natural state of being. Because I don't mind being alone and focus on my hobbies, my interests, having a relaxed, nice evening, just doing what I like instead of spending time with people all the time. But obviously, everybody need some socialization. I mean, at least go out there, do some activity, do some sport, do some brief socialization with other people. It's not more than healthy. And I need that because there are those times when I get so deep into loneliness, and partly it's self-chosen, partly not. I think there are some people there are circumstances that makes people become in a situation where they have no other choice, that they are lonely. And that is horrible. That is super, super sad. But not everybody have the chance. I mean, not everybody have the chance to have it any other way around it, For me personally, it's very mixed. At the moment, I am very, very lonely. And I handle it well. I am, because, I have, like I said early in the part one, a lot of things on the plate, which is a good thing to keep yourself occupied, and having the projects, having the vision of what you want to accomplish and everything, instead of just hanging out for the sake of hanging out without getting anything back, Even if that can be rewarding also sometimes, just to like be with somebody that you enjoy spending time with, and not really think too much like, oh, I need to have something a return for this time. That's horrible to think like that. But sometimes I do think like that anyway, I have to be honest, because of course a book is not writing itself, or an album is not writing itself. You know what I'm saying? It's just about that. So loneliness is like a little bit the sense of nature for INFP. And I know, like, from personal experiences, I've been like, even with family, sometimes I can feel I love to be with my family, but I can feel lonely also with my family and with friends. If I'm at a party, there are many, many times I've been with party with. I was invited, and I went to many parties like many years ago, a few years ago, and mainly when I was back home. Actually, I could be like in the house party, or before pre-party, before going out to a club or a bar or something. I could just like feel really lonely, sense of loneliness inside, and still try to be like socializing or whatever. And then once we got to the party or the club, I just ended up leaving without saying anything. That's happened many times. A lot of times I just went to a bar by myself, small talking with strangers, talking with a bartender, talking with some girl, just went my own way, or sometimes I just went home. Because especially, club scene is not really it's not my scene. It's too loud, crowded, and that is uncomfortable. I don't like it. There have been times when I do like it, of course, but I learned that now is not my place of being. Um, just checking my notes a little bit here. Yeah, absolutely love to occupy myself with personal interests, just having a relaxed night or a relaxed afternoon, doing some exercise, reading, and not necessarily need to be out and about every single day. But of course, to be completely honest, it has been very lonely um, in my position in particular. And I think that is something different from some INFP may feel as a melancholic state of being, because I think that INFP have a like a presence of loneliness within themselves. If I'm speaking from my perspective, that is like somewhat always there, regardless of how good it is or how fun you have and how many people is there. There's always that sense, but it's like maybe it's a comforting also, I don't know. And for me it always expresses itself most of the times as a state of melancholy, and I don't mind it, to be honest. There's sometimes it's just like, yeah, of course, like melancholy is melancholy, what can you say? But sometimes it's has given me the most interesting insights or creative outbursts out there, that has been for me. You know, you canalize that emotion into something, and it's not every time that happens, but it's a very rewarding and good thing if you're able to do it every now and then, because it feels authentic. For me, at least, it feels very authentic. Yeah, again, yeah, I mean, there's some situations like earlier this week. Some part of loneliness is just, yeah, literally, really, really, yeah, it's physically painful, to be honest. I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but some loneliness gets to that kind of part of your, I guess, soul, and I think that's when it gets unhealthy, because loneliness itself for an INFP, it doesn't necessarily need to be unhealthy. It can be, like I said, a loneliness in the sense of melancholy. It can be rewarding, that is a comfort zone to go to feel like you can create something. You do something with it, you know. Like imagine the lonely, starving, or yeah, lonely, starving, melancholic artist. A lot of them, some of the most creative beings out there have made some amazing, beautiful things because of loneliness. There is one quote I have in. Let me find that quote. It's in here. I think it's from an author called Miller something. Yeah, Henry Miller. An artist is always alone. If he is an artist, no. What the artist needs is loneliness. And that kind of like, yeah, resemble or reflect to what I'm talking about right now. But there is that part of loneliness that is physically, not mentally, can also be extremely bad. But the one I'm talking about is beyond that. For me personally, the mental part, the mental suffering of loneliness is like, it's beyond, it's. But I think when it's getting to the physical part, when you feel like your cells or your soul is attacked, then you better watch out. I'm telling you that. Then you really have to start thinking positive and think about like a really deep sense of meaning, that is absolutely bigger than yourself. Like, I think something good that can help is you are not doing anything for yourself, actually. Of course, you have to do things for yourself to set yourself up in order. Like, you have to have an income, you have to be physically fit or whatever to be able to execute important things, tasks in daily life. You need to keep these in check. But beyond that, to have a deeper sense of meaning, I think is to be able to create something that can benefit others. And of course, you can have a return from that as well to make yourself like, yeah, I did this. But the deeper sense of meaning is because of benefit for somebody that are in need. And that is what I feel is difficult when you have that kind of loneliness that kind of attack you on a physical level, that it actually hurts inside. And what can I say? What hurts you makes you stronger, hopefully. There are many people that are so strong because of what they have been through, because of their experiences, or just because of their basic being lonely. And I respect those people a lot. Depression is like literally related, of course, to loneliness, but it's absolutely related to. I think it's different to being depressed and being clinically depressed. Clinically depressed is some completely different level, I imagine, because everybody, and I'm telling you, everybody who is out there, they seem like they have so good life, they have such a good career, or they are doing like so fine with themselves, or they're showing off the best on the internet. Maybe they even have the more even serious issue or problem than you, because I'm telling you, everybody, they do have their issues. And I think it's strong to be able to not being afraid of saying that out loud, like being open with that and saying, hey, I'm a human being, and I look like this, and I am made of flesh and bones, just like you. But you are portraying an image that you have no loneliness. But you, just because you're portraying this image, it actually makes you not standing up for your loneliness, and that makes you actually even more sad in a way. Not everybody that is looking like, oh, this person there, he's sitting, I see this guy or I see this girl all the time sitting there lonely reading. I hate when people tell me, like, sometime at work, when I was working, now I'm working from home, but sometime when I was in the office, and there's this person coming up to me several times. I don't know if she liked me or whatever, but she's like, oh, you're here alone. You're sitting here alone. Can you imagine the face of an INFP when somebody tell that to you? I literally like snapped like a snake. Not literally, but I kind of like gave that look like, no, I'm just like, I'm sitting here. What's wrong with that? Yeah. Loneliness isn't always as bad as it can look like. But I'm telling you, those people that you see, like, if you're living in a small town and you see like some person, for example, reading a thick book, maybe often alone, isn't necessarily that person is very alone in his own spirit. There are maybe times when that person feels very, 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 very lonely and sad. But for the majority of the part of his or her life, that person probably want to meet somebody like-minded and uh, friendly or romantically involved. But apart from that, that person is probably very, very focused about a lot of things and maybe is very aligned or spiritually connected to other spirits. It could even be that way, you know. So I don't think we should judge people just like, oh, that person is just so lonely all the time, so sad. There are those people that are super, super lonely. I see a lot of them in this town. Oh, I'm telling you, there was one time I saw this guy. He was laying on the street. I don't know if he was drugged or if he was super drunk. But when I passed, I really had to like slow down and check to see if I see some physical movements on his body. And I did. I'm pretty sure I did, but he was kind of sleeping or closing his eyes. But after, I still think to this day, like maybe I should have like walked up, just, are you okay? Like just check on him. There are those people also in loneliness, and that is just another story. That's another topic. That's not the kind of loneliness that I'm talking to here. Just to make that clear, that is probably like mental illness, drugs and alcohol. You know, is probably something related to that, and that is nothing what I'm talking about here related to INFP loneliness. The INFP loneliness for me is about not being afraid or just taking on journeys and like challenges and experience by yourself. I love to travel alone. The people that you meet, the experience that you have is just awesome. I just think that's so fascinating. Oh, I keep rambling on now. I ramble and ramble and ramble. Uh, I don't know if you can, maybe if you wish, you can make me a notification if it was possible to see that. If anybody of you know, before the stream was went live, if it was possible to see that thumbnail, like on my page, or if it came up in your feed, if it was, you know, with that thumbnail, with the background, with the green scenery, with the bridge, with me, and it says INFP Tom, episode 3. If you already have, if it was there in the feed, or if it was on my page, whatever, you know, it would be interesting to see if it was not just like nothing, or if it was, I don't know. So right now, I feel I covered like everything. Not everything. There's always so much you can go back to and talk about. I just hope that it was interesting. I am still, you know, very new with this, and I'm feeling quite shy to just make this. I never did anything like this before, but it's good for me to practice, to speak in front of an audience. I think I do enjoy it. I have to say, I like it. I think it's fun, but it is new. So if I'm gonna round up there and just say that I appreciate tuning in to this week's episode, INFP with Tom, and I will probably be back again with another video as I normally do. I actually had some videos. I made one when I went out running on Wednesday. maybe upload it afterward. We will see. You know, there's a lot of times I upload videos, but I don't really do anything with them. They just stay in my phone. Sometimes I just delete them or upload them a little bit later. But I'm like that, you know. A lot of times I just feel that feeling, okay, I need to record this. I need to record my thoughts. And then afterwards, like, oh no, this is no content that I want to share or whatever. Because I'm still a person of very